Alright, so I've had kind of the itch to make a YouTube video just for fun for a little bit now, and I used to make them. I mean, I know that's not what you're here for, but I used to make YouTube videos. Had some mild success, not very much. I mean, obviously you can see by subscriber count, but I had a couple videos pop off, and I just made the videos for fun, just out of my own enjoyment. I just made gaming videos, but anyways, that's not the reason you're here. Recently, I've been enjoying Red Dead Redemption 2, which is why I threw on some gameplay from the game. But I recently just finished the main story of the game, and my plan was going to be I was going to play Red Dead Redemption 2 and then into Red Dead Redemption 1, which is like the chronological order. Like 2 is the prequel to 1. And I got these games off of PlayStation Plus, like the subscription service that you guys obviously know about if you were to click on this video. But I finished the second game, and I go to PlayStation Plus to download the first game, and lo and behold, it's no longer on the service. So, naturally, not generally the happiest about that, since I had the notion that I would be getting this game included with my subscription, but now I would have to pay for the actual game. And a while ago I did actually start Red Dead Redemption 1, but then I realized that the second game was first, so I stopped playing it because I wanted to play the second game first to have the full cohesive experience with the story in order. So I went and I played the second game, but by the time I played the second game and finished it, the first one's already off of PlayStation Plus. So this, obviously, it's a tactic they would use. I'm sure it has something to do with the publisher, in conjunction with Sony. They probably have contracts on how long their games are going to be on the service so people can play them. But usually there are games that are, a couple years old. Like Red Dead Redemption 2 came out in 2018, so they try and get as much sales as they can out of the game before going into a contract, which allows it to be basically free to PlayStation users, because the vast majority of PlayStation users subscribe to the PlayStation Plus service so they can play online games. Now, I can't really speak on Xbox Game Pass because I don't own an Xbox or any Xbox services, so I can't really speak directly on that as I have no experience on it. But I would at least assume that some of this stuff also applies to Xbox and their variations of the PlayStation services. But a lot of the times I will notice that they will add on games that previously were already on the service. So that kind of got me thinking and, looking up some stuff, researching. Because I've had a PlayStation for a while now, right? And I remember when they add these games to it the first time. Like, they added Red Dead, years ago, right? And then they take it off without telling you, really. And then they put it back on. And, when they put it back onto the service, they definitely tell everyone. They want everyone to know that this high-profile game is on the service, and it makes them look good because, they're putting a game that a lot of people would play on the service that everybody pretty much has to own to play their PlayStation. I feel like this is kind of sneaky on their part, as they're kind of using this to their advantage to make themselves look good. Like, they're giving the consumer more than they actually are. Because by taking the game off sneakily and putting it back on loudly, they're making it seem like, they just keep adding these great titles. But they don't tell you really when the titles are taken off. You actually have to search for that information. When they put a big title on there, they will make it known. They will put it on the front page of PlayStation Plus. Hey, there's new games added. Or, hey, there's monthly games with these big titles. But when they take them off, they're not as loud. Now, I couldn't help but notice As this was the game I was playing, Red Dead Redemption left the service on June 16th. And they added Red Dead Redemption 2 to the service in May. So it's a pretty long game, Red Dead Redemption 2 is. So it would be unrealistic for somebody to finish the whole game and its experience in 1 month. So it's safe to assume that whether Rockstar or whoever conducted this did it knowing that they were trying to encourage more people to play the second game, and then by the time they're done with the second game, the first one now has to be bought, which is a smart move, right? They're trying to maximize profits out of these games, and if they just have somebody who's already using the service play both of them, they're obviously going to make less money than if you play the first game off of PlayStation Plus and then have to buy the second game. So it's a smart business move, right? But it's worse for the consumer. And now, in this day and age, we're just seeing more and more of these greedy tactics in our gaming society due to these huge corporations. Xbox, PlayStation, especially Nintendo nowadays with their Switch 2 fiascos. Like, I don't even want to get into that. But there is just so much greed plaguing just the world in general, but I guess the gaming industry. Gone are the days you and your buddies could just play your DSs and only one of you had to own the game. Gone are those days where that extra leeway that the big companies gave to the consumers is there. It's no longer there. Now I feel as if it's not for the customer's enjoyment anymore. And I'm sure many of you also feel the same way as me. But greed has just overtaken all these large companies, and it's no longer about creating a good product or a good game. It's just about sales. When it used to be the better product you made, the more happy people would be, the more they would buy it. Now I feel as if people were just brainwashed enough that it doesn't matter if it's a good product or not. And I mean, that's not always the case. Selling a good product is always correlated with making more money. But in the case of like these like EA sports games where they just release the same game every year and make minimal changes and, in my opinion, withhold changes for the next copy to ensure that people will buy the next copy because they see these new features and they go, wow, that's pretty cool. I should get that new game because it looks great. I just think that, the respect for the consumer is kind of gone. And the sad thing about this is that this greed probably won't stop because if people keep buying their games after they do these greedy courses of action, then they're not going to stop. If their sales aren't hurt by this, they probably won't stop doing what they're doing. So the expense of the consumer is just going to keep going up as they increase these game prices and do these kind of greedy practices because people will still buy their games. I don't mean to be so negative about this stuff. There's still some great indie game companies that are going to keep making games at cheap prices that are really enjoyable. And, there's still some good games on PlayStation Plus. It's just this kind of greedy practice that's I've kind of noticed over the years. So, I thought I'd just share my opinion and see if anyone else noticed this. And I mean, I'm sure not many people are going to watch this video. I just, wanted to share my own opinion, and I've been itchy to make YouTube videos. I haven't in a couple years, so I just made one just to share my opinion on this and see if anyone else also shared that. So, God bless. May the force be with you. All that stuff. Have a great rest of your day.